Monroe, it's Mrs. Ireland. The theme for this week is fairy tales. A common element in fairy tales is good versus evil. A well-known fairy tale with this element is Hansel and Gretel. In this story, Hansel and Gretel are led into the woods to be left, but they're actually smart, and they end up leaving a trail of breadcrumbs so they can find their way home. So for today's movement activity to connect with word work, you're going to be making your own breadcrumbs out of crumpled pieces of paper, and then you're going to be hunting for them and bringing them home. Now, before I show you the actual activity, I'd like to tell you your options for what you can write on your breadcrumbs. So first, you could just write upper and lowercase letters to match. You could think of sight words that you've worked on recently and write your sight words. Now, you would write one letter for a word on each piece of paper. Or finally, the most challenging option would be to write a sentence, but you would write one word for the sentence on each piece of paper. After you have your option decided, you're actually going to, after you've written everything, your letters or your words, you're going to crumple each piece of paper. So it might be letters, you're going to crumple that, or it could be a word as part of your sentence. And you're going to take all your pieces of paper and you're going to be tossing them all over your yard. You could also just toss them inside your house. Then you're going to run around and collect all your breadcrumbs or your pieces of paper and bring them back home with you. Then you're going to open them up and lay all of them out, and then you'll be matching your upper to lowercase letters. You will be building your sight words, or you will be unscrambling your sentences and making sure that they look right and sound right.
Good morning, Monroe Eagles, and welcome to the third week of Poetry with Bittleby. This week's theme, as you may know, is fairy tales, and today we're going to share some fun things to do with fairy tales. Boys and girls, did you know that fairy tales have very special things that make them a fairy tale? First of all, they often start once upon a time. Second of all, there's usually some magic in it. Third, there's usually a king and a queen or a princess. And fourth, there's often and usually a bad guy. Today on Poetry with Bittleby, we are going to be working with the character of the bad guy. Our first poem today is about the three billy goats Gruff. Down by the river lived the three billy goats Gruff. The wool on their bodies is soft and fluff. A grumpy old troll who huffs and puffs lives under the bridge of the three billy goats Gruff. This grumpy old troll wears fluffy ear muffs. He hates the sound of the billy goats Gruff. He hears their hooves and he sniffs and he scoffs and he bellows out loud, "Beware, billy goats, get off my bridge." Now, what we're going to do for our explore part is we're going to make a wanted poster. Now, on our wanted poster at the top, you need to say who is wanted. And in my poem today, it was the troll. In the first box here, I put reward. You can make as much money as you want. I made $500. In the next box, it needs to be, where was this bad character last seen? He was seen under the bridge. And down here, we're going to say what he was wanted for. He was wanted for scaring the billy goats. And when it's time to collect your reward, you're supposed to see the farmer for the reward. And boys and girls, I almost forgot the most important thing. In the center is the picture of the troll. Now, for our landing part of our lesson, just a second, boys and girls, you are going to make your own wanted poster. The first thing you're going to do is take a piece of paper, fold it into 4 parts like you're making a card. When you open it up, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. Then take something round. I don't care what you use. I'm using a coaster. And we're going to build a circle right in the center. Now, at the top, don't forget to put who is wanted. And then in the first box, put reward. And you can have the money be as much as you want. And then in the next box, we'll put last seen. So think about your poem and think, where was your bad character last seen? On the next box, we're going to put wanted for. What did he do? Why is there a reward out for him? And on the last, it's going to be see the, and you decide who is going to be giving out the money for the reward for our character in the next poem. Now, boys and girls, I'm going to read you one last poem, and this is going to be the poem that I want you to make the wanted poster for. And the title is Little Red. Once there was a little girl, and her name was Little Red. She set off to her grandma's house, for Gram was sick in bed. She wandered through the forest with her basket full of bread. She ran into the big bad wolf. "Where are you going?" he said. "I'm headed to my grandma's house. Can't stop to talk," said Red. The sneaky wolf, he made a plan, and then away he sped. When Red got to her grandma's house, she saw her there in bed. "Oh, what big eyes and ears and teeth you have upon your head." "The better to eat you with, my dear," the hungry wolf said. "Oh, please don't eat me," said Little Red. "Just eat my bread instead." Okay, boys and girls, you have a fairy tale to make a wanted poster for the bad guy. So this week with Biddleby, we are having fun, I hope, because the last couple of weeks haven't been fun. Good luck, be safe, and I'll see you soon.
Hi Monroe, it's Mrs. Fisher here. Did you know that in fairy tales you can find numbers and shapes all over them? It's amazing. So one of the things that I discovered while teaching this last semester was that fairy tales often come with the numbers 3, 5, or 7. Think of the Three Little Pigs. Not only were there 3 pigs, but they had 3 houses, and they were all made out of different things. Think of Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Now, when Goldilocks walked into the 3 Bears' house, there were, yes, 3 bears, but there were also 3 bowls of porridge, 3 chairs to sit in, and 3 beds. So there were 3 different things that Goldilocks went to in her story. So I want you to take on this challenge. I want you to think about different fairy tales, or read some fairy tales, or have some fairy tales read to you. And when you are thinking of those fairy tales, I want you to see if you can find the number 3, the number 5, or the number 7. Okay? Now there's another activity that I thought would be fun. Now, fairy tales usually are all about palaces and castles and royalty, and there's usually a bad character in there and a really good character, right? And so I thought, what are castles made out of? What are crowns made out of? I bet you can find shapes in all of those things. So I started thinking, I wonder if I could make my own castle. Now, if I had small children around, I of course would probably have some building blocks, but I gave all of those away, and I don't have any building blocks. So I thought, how can I build a castle? Well, for me, what I did is I took just regular plain paper and I started cutting out shapes. And then I colored those shapes with some crayons. Okay? Magic markers, colored pencils, any of that works. And then I have several shapes. I have a rectangle, another rectangle, a different size rectangle. Look at this shape. That's a half of an oval. Wonder what I could use that for. Then I have these ovals. Look, I even drew a picture in one. I have, well, these are not perfectly square, so I guess they're rectangles. You could make squares though if you wanted. And I have another kind of a rectangle. This is called a right rectangle. And this is called an isosceles. An isosceles triangle and a right triangle. Okay, so I have all of these shapes that I have colored and cut out. So now I can build my castle. So I'm thinking I have my 2 pillars. I'm hoping you guys can see this. If not, then I'm going to bring the camera around at the end and you can see what I have built. And you can build your own castle any way that you want, because this is the great thing about castles, is they can be built out of anything that you want. And you know how castles usually have flags on top of them? I put flags too. These are going to be my flags. There's one. But my problem is I don't have another one. So I must have left it somewhere or it fell on the floor. And I can use Q-tips. I can use any kind of recycling things like paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, anything like that. Let me grab the camera and I'm going to show you exactly what my castle looks like. Look at my castle. So that you can build your own castle too. Have fun, Monroe. Enjoy your day. See you soon.